Hello, my absolutely beautiful astrology soulmates. It's me, Stormie Grace, and welcome to your weekly horoscope for the week of November 6th, where this week, I love this week. I love the inspiration. I love the flow. I love the knowingness of this week. And it had me thinking as I was going through the aspects of the week, thinking about the movie Moana and thinking about Tafiki and Taka, and how these are two different sides of the exact same being, but how they function and how they present themselves are completely different. So if you haven't seen Moana, you're going to definitely want to check that out this week as well. All right, my absolutely beautiful soulmates. So this week, as we're dancing in the cosmos, and I have this vision of Tafiki and Taka from the movie Moana, what it is that when Tafiki is in her embodiment of the feminine energy, she's growing life. She's the big, beautiful, lush mountain, got all of this greenery. It's just absolutely lovely. And when Tafiki is in the mode of Taka, she is this blistering volcano, destroying things, challenging, right? It's this really interesting dynamic. But what really caught my attention that relates to this week is the moment when Moana, this small little energy, comes face to face with Taka, and she's burning this fire. And Moana says one line that I think sums up the entire week. She says, "I know who you are." Boom, it happens. Tafiki starts to make her way back to the surface. And that is, I think, what this week's theme entirely is I know who you are, and you know who you are, and the intuition and the mastery and the crystallization of that absolutely shines through this week. So before we get into the cosmos, you've got a little bit more time before Wednesday to get registered to come and have a workshop and a chat with me over at the Washington State Astrology Association. I'll be talking about lunar phases, and I will also be talking about astrology and business. It'll be a full 4-hour workshop. So if you'd like to come, of course, the link is in the description box down below. It's time to get your 2024 digital transit calendars from our friends over at Wise Skies Collective. I've also got my coupon code in the description box down below, so you can get a little discount, let those calendars come to your phone. It's pretty much the best astrological thing ever. And also, I am really excited to share with you that yes, we've got the December videos that will be out for you shortly, but for your 2024 annual video, I am thrilled because there are going to be 5 astrologers breaking down the different areas of life for you, happening all throughout 2024. Myself, Cameron Allen, Christopher Renstrom, Wade Caves, and Tiffany Harlick. So look forward to your 2024 very, very full annual forecast for each of your sun and rising signs, okay? All of that will be available on the homepage. All right. Into the week, let's go. So right out of the gate here on Monday, I love the way the week starts. We start the week with the moon in the energy of Leo. So it's fun, it's play, it is of joy, right? When the moon is in Leo, we're asking ourselves, okay, where have I been taking myself too seriously? Where have I forgotten that life is not actually just a veil of tears? Even when I'm going through the tough stuff and I have to maybe time and time again feel like I'm like, being like Aaliyah, I am dusting myself off and trying again, okay? Even in those times, the moon in Leo calls us to remember our own internal fire, and that from that internal fire, the way that we stoke it and the way that we continue to let it burn is that we give it fun, we give it pleasure, we give it relaxation, we give it joy. We watch funny videos on the internet that just make us laugh out of pure joyful pleasure. Puppies licking other puppies' eyes. That's really cute, okay? Whatever it is, but we do these things that bring a sense of joy and pleasure. So it's a wonderful way to start the week, to remember that it is not all suffering, that there is some joy here. Now, it is an interesting dynamic to say that, because we're going to see that the moon gets into this position as it's traveling in this fixed fire energy of a little bit of going, okay, what do I need to do here to have fun? It's almost like you maybe even have to search to answer the question. And remember, I know who you are. You know who you are. But I don't know what brings you joy today. Only you know who you are there. So what does that look like? And then we're going to see that it's going to end up squaring, this moon's going to end up squaring Mercury that's in Scorpio. So this is a fixed square, okay? So when we're dealing with a square, especially against fixed energies don't want to move. They don't want to move. So now you've got fire, your passion, and what brings me joy, and am I having joy in my life, coming up against some really deep welling emotions. And what happens here is that I think that this is a morning, this is a day on Monday, at least at the beginning of the day, where you come in and you're like, you know what? I have to make my own way. Right? It's not that I have to make my own way in the world, not those esoteric, like material things. It's simply no one's going to come and just drop joy at my doorstep. I have to see what I can do for myself to actively choose joy, choose a way of more positivity, that I have to choose a way of looking at a situation or perspective with different eyes so that I can have a different experience with it. And it's interesting because as Neptune's been traveling through the vibration of Pisces for quite some time, you've also been, I think, looking at your ideas and ideals about life and about spirituality. And for many people, you've literally been looking here because you're like, I'm out of material world ideas. If there's going to be freedom, if I'm not going to feel like I'm trapped in myself and my life all the time, there has to be some place where there's actual relief for me. And I think that's come through a little bit of the spin of some of the Pisces ideas that have been getting worked out. And as you're having this quincunx with Neptune and Pisces, also related to this moon, also related to this mercurial energy, there's this vibration that is like, okay, you know what? I want this world over here. I want this type of participation over here. So today I am going to actively, as joyfully as I can, choose it. So it's actually a really very, very rich day as we're traveling on Monday. Now, we've also got some other gems that are popping up over here. First and foremost, we have got Venus coming in with a trine over here. Oh, I love this. This is also very early in the morning that you'll be under this vibration. But Venus comes into a trine with Pluto, okay? So remember, the trine creates a pocket of opportunity that you can do something with, but you have to go to it. Again, right? Like somebody's not dropping joy at your doorstep. You're having to go to it. But with Venus in a trine to Pluto, you can literally, Venus, call it into you. Call into you what you want. Call into it. Are you looking for order, right? Are you looking for order? Are you looking for health? Are you looking for wellness? Are you looking for some kind of structure? Are you looking for something in your relationships? Call it into you. Because in a trine with Pluto, this is an earth trine. So in the material plane, whatever you're looking for is looking for you, and you are magnetizing it to you. Now, you also have an opportunity, my friends, to look at where did this show up for you already? Go back in your life to April 11th, around that time, April 11th. What were you calling in? What were you like, I need this? You know, were you even talking to the universe where you're like, come get me? You know, like what was happening? What were you calling in? Because this is another opportunity for you to do that and actually have a need met. It's really a beautiful energy. Okay, now I'm also seeing here though that we're going to see the moon get out of that Leo energy, and I actually think it's really good here on Monday because it's going to push into the Virgo's position. So first of all, this is the moon getting into an earth energy. Now at a shadow side, when the moon is in Virgo, emotionally, instead of handling and dealing and making your way, you can just be worrying or hyper fixating or getting so stressed out and anxious and worked up that you give your nervous system an overload. So be mindful of that whenever the moon is in Virgo. Be mindful of that. Now, if your moon is in Virgo, then you're having a lunar return, and hopefully you've checked out my lunar return video and what it is and how you can work with that. But for the rest of us, this happens every month somewhere in your chart, wherever Virgo's at, okay? So the moon's going to come into Virgo when we get a little bit of settling, which I think is very good. And then the moon is immediately, like on moving into the energy of Virgo, going to be in opposition to Saturn that is in Pisces, who just last week came direct, came out of retrograde. So first of all, what I love about this connection that I think is very useful is that the moon does want you to be the best. It wants you to be organized. It wants you to have what you need to meet your daily tasks, right? And to keep the anxiety to a minimum. But opposing Saturn in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces has already been doing a review of your intuition, of crystallizing, putting a structure, putting a I know what I'm doing around your intuition. Because remember, Saturn in Pisces has been about, you have to stop talking about it and you have to be about it. So yet again, I come back to the phrase, you know who you are. This is the symbol here, I think. Trust your intuition from the inside out. Your insides may be telling you something and something's going on across the street from you, or somebody's telling you something and you're like, I'm not sure, but my intuition is telling me that something about that is not like the best deal for me. And in the physical world, right? We've got the moon in Virgo and earth sign. So in the physical world, if somebody is trying to sell you something, they're trying to tell you something that this is the new supplement that you need to be taking and it's going to make you the best ever. You know, your hormones are going to be better than they've ever been in your life. But your intuition is saying, that's not actually what's right for us. I'm happy to review your information, but like that's maybe not what's right for me. Trust your intuition. And I think that this becomes the post-Saturn out of retrograde dynamic of where you ask less questions from your intuition and you just trust it more because you've put a structure, you've put some crystallization around knowing who you are, and that what's welling up for you is asking you to pay attention to it. I absolutely think that it is lovely. Now, Mercury in Scorpio is going to sit into a trine with Neptune and Pisces as well. So now we've got the planet of our thinking, our communication, like the mind, how we give and we receive information in a trine. So again, a pocket of opportunity, but you have to go to the opportunity with Neptune and Pisces, which is our ideals. And this is an energy of, it's like getting the mind and the spirit in the same place at the same time. You know, they say that this is from the head to the heart is the longest distance that any one of us can ever travel. And in response to everything that you've been experiencing during the day, when this aspect and this transit comes around, I think you're going, yep, you know what? You're right, me. That's not for us. Or you know what? You're right, me. That is for us. I am creative. I am intuitive. I know how to make this work. I am inspired to do this thing at this time, even though, you know, I can't really tell you why I'm inspired to write this song. I can't tell you why I'm inspired to launch this thing at this particular time. Now, you can also go back to July 9th in your life because we had this aspect at that time as well. So what were you inspired to do? What creative things were coming up? Where did you feel like there was just finally some ease and some flow in who you are in a way that was maybe in or outpouring for your life that day? It's an absolutely beautiful, beautiful energy. Okay, as we roll ourselves over here into Tuesday, we've still got the moon traveling through the energy of Virgo. It's sitting in this beautiful trine with Jupiter that's in Taurus. So we've got another earth trine. So in the material realm, things that are touchable, tangible, if you needed to get something done, if emotionally you're like, I've been avoiding calling the doctor, I've been avoiding calling my tax person, today's the day to do it. This is a great energy to take advantage of that. But also, we've got the moon here in a sextile with the sun in Scorpio. Yeah, that's right. So this is absolutely phenomenal. Whatever it is on Tuesday, the truth is you need the truth of what's going on. So you may have to ask some questions. You may have to take some actions on Tuesday. And I'm telling you, it's a great day to do it. If you needed to go talk to your boss, if you needed to go talk to HR, if you needed to fill out an application, I mean, anything that is also connected to your relationships or relationshiping with another human being, and your resources, so your money, or you needed to sell your possessions because you're having a yard sale. I mean, whatever it is, you guys, right? This is the day to be able to do it, because when we're also having an opportunity in an earth trine in the material plane, it means that you kind of have a blessing of good fortune to be able to get things done. But then that sextile to this Scorpio energy, which is the sun bringing light, heat, life, and vitality to you, you are motivated in a very deep way to bring things to completion, or to know what's going on, know what's happening. Go get the blood panel done. Go do your analytico so you know what's happening in your body. Whatever it is, the truth sets you free as of Tuesday. So trust your intuition there as well, right? So I'll just say this about Tuesday too, because there is this interesting place between all the inspiration and intuition that's happening. And that is where the head gets involved. And it's like, yeah, but we can do it tomorrow. Tuesday is the day to do it now, to do it today. So if your head's like, do it tomorrow, and it's coming from your head, not your intuition, sometimes you have to stare fear in the eyes and get the things done, right? Okay, on Wednesday, the 8th, this is a busy day. The moon is running into absolutely everything. So I will tell you, as you're traveling through Wednesday, if it kind of feels like you're on a tilt-a-whirl a little bit, or people around you feel like they're on a tilt-a-whirl and you're in the middle even observing and watching them, Wednesday is a phenomenal day for you to get really spiritually grounded. You know who you are. So listen, but listen from the nosebleed seats. You know how I talk about this is like, if you're watching your life or a situation happening in your life, especially if it's really personal, and you're down on the field, you're in the sweat drip off the players' seats, you're very close. And this is like all you can see and feel, right? So on Wednesday, you want to take yourself into the stadium and get into the nosebleed seats so that you can see the entire field of what's going on. And this will also help you hold your spiritual center, because you're like, oh, I see what you're saying. I see what's going on over here. But I'm grounded in me, and I can see if I have a part in this, or if this is you and you think I have a part in it, but it's actually yours, and you're going to come to see that it's yours. You know what I mean? Like, it's a very different perspective of interaction on this day. And that's really going to be important, because I'm telling you, the moon is making a lot of different aspects as it is traveling here on Wednesday, which means that emotionally, internally, things can feel like it's on that tilt-a-whirl or that roller coaster for sure, okay? And especially anytime the moon does a kind of opposing dance to Neptune and Pisces, you're like, I don't know what I feel, or I don't know what you're saying and what's really true and what's not. I don't know if this is intuition or if this is my head. So another great skill to bring in, I think, on Wednesday is to listen. And that's perfect, because Venus goes home into domicile, into the energy of Libra in the morning on Wednesday. And now we start to have some harmony and some flow and some ease in the Libra areas of your chart, but in relationships, in conversations about resources and things like that. So you really do want to listen. This is how we relationship, right? In the energy of Libra, it's not just I'm codependent and I have to have a partner. It's not that. At an evolutionary level, Libra understands that you can only go so far on your own. There are some lessons and some chores you simply cannot do by yourself. You're going to have to pair with another person or another resource in order to get it done, right? And also, when we pair in these conscious, chosen, one-on-one relationships, which is where Libra dances, whether that's business or romance or whatever you call a higher power, you have to listen. You cannot just talk in relationships, because then it is a monologue, and that is not a relationship. You know what? In your relationships, if you're the only one talking, you're about to be single, or you're about to lose your job. That's my experience every single time, right? If this is not a cyclical conversation. So this is what we get to experience in the vibration of Venus moving into Libra. And I actually like it because, you know, Venus is going to hit this quincunx here with Pisces, which can be that itchy tag. But I don't think that that's as big of a deal, because there's also this really interesting quincunx between the Sun in Scorpio and Chiron in Aries. So they don't quite understand each other, but instead it really comes from the space of intuition of I trust my gut. and I'm available or I'm free enough from myself and from my opinions and my judgments of what's going on, because I'm in the nosebleed seats, that I can just listen to you and to what you're saying and to what you need or to what you're asking me. Now we've got Mercury in Scorpio also forming a sextile to Pluto, who's in Capricorn. Okay, now this is when the pocket of opportunity is there, but you're intelligently taking action to make that thing happen, right? So when Pluto and Mercury get together in a dance, we're digging for information, we're getting things done. It's like, you know what? Not only do I trust my gut, but I trust my gut, my head and my heart are in alignment, and I'm in motion. I'm taking advantage of this, right? And it's this place where Mercury in Scorpio is like your emotions and your intuition and the depth of who you know you are as a person is really in alignment with the material plane as well. So my question for you is going to be, here we are still in Wednesday. What are you doing? What are you taking on? What problems are you solving? Pluto wants to do a little research and solve some problems. So on Wednesday, you've got the opportunity to do that, and you'll do well if you get to the nosebleed seats so that you can see the entirety of the field, get a little bit detached from what's going on, listen so that you can evaluate where you need to step in, where you don't need to step in, and that will be very helpful. Now, here's the other side that I think of this Mercury and Pluto just to be mindful of. And wherever you are in your own lesson base will really tell you how you navigate this. And there's no good or bad. There's no good or bad, okay? But what can happen with that Mercury and Pluto sextile is that someone brings you a problem and you're like, that's not actually my problem. I don't really particularly want to solve that, but you're like, I have experience here. I know how to help somebody. And a really great example of this is somebody is sitting there and they're having a moment, or they're having a moment in their relationship, or they're having a moment with their parent or their job, right? And you've had a previous experience and they don't ask you for a suggestion. They don't ask you for input, but you're like, I'm ready to save you. I'll take this opportunity to just share all my wisdom with you. And this is why I say, if you can listen that day and get in the nosebleed seats and listen for your cue to start talking, this will be better, because it's like trying to drag someone to their healing, trying to drag someone to the experience that you've already survived by getting your face drug on the mud is insane, and it is exhausting. So if you listen, and that fine moment when the person says to you, do you have any experience with this? Or what do you think? Then you can be like, Jajang, I'm here. Let me tell you how I survived that and didn't die. Other than that, if they didn't ask you, it might not be the best day to hand out your experience, okay? Because you're just giving it to a person or a situation that didn't ask you for it, which means they're not going to digest it in a really good way. Okay, Thursday, the moon is now leaving this Virgo vibration, so we're leaving that grounding of earth, and now we're moving into the space of air. So when the moon moves into an air sign, we need to talk, because we have to think about how we feel and then talk it out. So this is a great time for you to be doing that. Now, Venus and Libra are going to come into a conjunction. The moon and Venus in a conjunction, which is actually beautiful. If you think about looking into the night sky, the astronomy of this. Besides the moon, right? Venus is the brightest thing we've got going out there. It's our brightest planet in the sky. And so if you look, depending on if you can see Venus in the east or the west, she's either in morning star or evening star position, but she is out there glowing. So this is lovely. This is a lovely, lovely, intuitive, inspired, feels good kind of energy. If you got somebody you love, or you're trying to love on yourself, love. I just want to say love. So it's very, very good for relationships. Okay. Now there's a quincunx, Saturn in Pisces, Jupiter in Taurus, to this particular moon. Okay. But then they've got this sextile with Pisces and Taurus. So that's actually very good. So because we've got this alignment here, and the way that it's rolling out potentially in relationships is that you just are, the word I feel like I want to use here is renewal. It's renewal in your relationships. Think concepts around relationships, beliefs that you've had about yourself in relationships where it's like, why didn't that work out for me? Why is this hard? Is it ever going to happen to me? Whatever these stories of relationships are, I feel like this day is a nice renewal for you in the tone of your relationships. Even if it's like, I don't have any further answers. But I know that I can go out and I am fit for human consumption, or I am taking actions that allow me to begin to explore relationshiping and the pleasantness that relationships can have with it as well, because we just can't travel solo all the time. So, I just want to say that, on Thursday, if you really are like, because I know that this was a thing for me, right? But I have Pisces at the descendant. And I have a stellium in Libra. So truly delusional ass relationships is a thing that Stormie Grace has absolutely done. I did it. I went through a whole season. It was absolutely painful. I was like in love with somebody who definitely wasn't in love with me. I mean, I've been married to people who are not real. I mean, in my mind, and this is the thing about the human mind, right? Wherever you're going, if you've been there 100 times, or, I was really learning a lot in relationships at that time. And it was like, yeah, what I'm seeing here and what's happening and how things are supposed to be versus how they are, I really had to see that I had some misconceptions and misunderstandings around how things were going in relationships, right? So not until I went to my Saturn did things get better, but I just share this with you so that you can understand that, like, I went through it too, you guys. Like, relationships were a struggle for me for a time. I just was not on par with them. And it was like, is this ever going to work out for me? So if you're having any of that on Thursday, I just want to encourage you to, first of all, like, remember that as long as you learned something in there, there's no loss. There's absolutely no loss. Even sometimes the seasons that have been more painful and it's like, whoo, the growth is painful this time. If you can pull a lesson out of it, there's no loss. But also let it be a day of renewal, right? Like, you're not the only person who's got whatever going on in relationships, finances, values, the struggle with what you call God or the universe. You're a part of the human race. And so it's okay to just not do it all right all the time, okay? Or ever. Okay, so on to Friday with that good news. When we get to the 10th, we've got Mercury moving into the energy of Sagittarius. So now we've got our small-minded planet of communication, right? And wherever Mercury goes, Mercury brings new information to the area it's traveling. So it's bringing new information to the Archer and with and in the style of the Archer. So your communication style, your curiosity, as we're here on Friday, is interested in adventure. I want to know that. I want to know what's over there. Well, what's behind the couch? Like, you just want to know some things, and it's really exciting. And it's also a day where I will tell you, because Mercury is happy for some travel and business, and so is Sagittarius. So it is a fantastic day as Mercury is traveling through Sagittarius. If you need to book those plane tickets, if you need to make that cruise reservation, if you need to sign up for that educational program that's going to take you to the next letter, if you need to do your resume, if you need to go whatever, have lunch and practice your language skills, whatever, that sense of adventure and communication out there is really exciting. Now, you do want to get on board with this too, because when we get to November 25th, we're going to see Mercury enter into its pre-retrograde shadow time at 22 degrees of Sagittarius. So between now and the 25th, you've got full forward motion where this planet is not in any kind of retrogradation. You live your best life, make your decisions, go out there, have the breakthroughs, go on the adventure, do the deep breathing, whatever it is, this is your time to be able to do that. Now, Mercury in Sagittarius is going to hit a square with Saturn that's over in Pisces. So we've got a mutable square since both planets are mutable. And mutable energies take us from one thing to the next. So they have to be flexible. But now you've got two I can be flexible planets in a square to one another. So they're saying, I have to do something. Mercury, I need to say something. I need to make a decision. I need to gather some information. I need to get out of my comfort zone of what I've always thought something that was going to be. I need to get over myself, right? And be like, yeah, maybe I don't actually have all the answers. If it ain't going the way I think it should be going, maybe I have to ask someone for help, right? And then it squares that Saturn in Pisces, which is about my faith, my intuition, my things in my spiritual world. And the other thing I think about with Sagittarius is in the physical body, Sagittarius rules over the thighs because you got to be moving these legs to go on adventures, you know? So it's really this square also between your own fire and how you move and knowing who you are and knowing where you want to go and what you want to know. And do you have the faith to do it? Saturn and Pisces, I got to stop talking about it and be about it because I know who I am. Intuitively, I know who I am. I cannot pretend I don't know who I am anymore. I cannot pretend that I don't know the things that I know, right? So it's really, this is a day where this square is like, you got to make a decision, right? You got to like, use the bathroom or get out of it. You know what I mean? Right? Like make some decisions on this particular day. Okay, now we're also going to see that this Libra moon actually opposes Chiron in Aries, and this is also a place where we've got the nodes working between Libra and Aries energy. So I think that this opposition at this time, based on some decisions that you may be putting yourself in a position to get ready to make or make from information that presents itself on Friday, it's like, yeah, I really do know who I am, and even if I don't know who I am, I know some things that I'm not. I know some versions of me that I am not anymore. And just by knowing that, by process of deduction and or understanding, you can start to align with a different relationship with yourself, first of all, with the universe, second of all, and therefore with the people and the tribe that is available to come to you and be with you. And it really has a lot to do with not only that Chiron and Aries, that you're not looking at life or yourself or the world through as big of a wound as you used to be, the wound of your own identity, but also the North Node is traveling through Aries. So by acknowledging that you know who you are, or you know in a situation that even if you don't know what it is, something is piquing your attention, your gut is getting tense. Every time you go on a date with that person, you end up with some kind of weird infection or sick. You know who you are, you know what it is. And because you know those things now, the North Node is also sending you people. It is sending you people or a person who is on the path of your destiny, who will drop you information, who will walk right up to you, maybe even it's not long, and say, oh yeah, this is a thing I found out, right? And sometimes where I think that this is really cool in the digital world is that, you know, it's always been this way with signs and symbols and things like that. But in the digital world, you know, you've got something going on in your gut and you've been wondering about it, and you flip open your YouTube to watch your weekly astrology video, and somebody pops up with a video that says, oh, when you are interacting with this substance or this vibration, it is going to bring you this, and it hurts on this side of your body. And you're sitting there going, yes, that's exactly what's happening to me, right? So that's the North Node bringing to you the people, the information, the support to the new identity that you have, that you need, and that South Node taking it away because it's like emotionally, at an emotional level, that's making you sick. It's bringing imbalance to you. Your kidneys are cold because you are literally putting yourself in a position of something that you can't energetically engage with anymore. So, okay, energetic astrological soapbox away. Pay attention to that, please, on Friday. Okay, when we get to Saturday, we are going to see, oh, I think I missed something here. No, we're doing very good. Okay, when we get to Saturday, we've got the 11th going on. So we've got the moon still traveling in Libra for just a little bit. It's going to square Pluto over here in Capricorn. You know, the moon is going to leave Libra and go into Scorpio, though, and that's where I think that this real change becomes a little bit more energetically sound as you're traveling through the rest of the weekend, because as the moon is here in Scorpio, it comes into a trine with Saturn in Pisces, and so this is like, yeah, you know what, Stormie, you're right. I do know who I am, and I am going to act accordingly. I do trust my gut. I do trust my intuition. I do trust my past, right? I trust my history. I trust that when the hairs are going up on the back of my neck and somebody's saying something, that I don't need to know why. I don't need to know why that's not for me. I don't need to know why I don't need to go into that store. I know that it's correct. So, trust your intuition and nurture it and support it and do things throughout the day to, when your intuition shows you something, go in that direction. Stop asking questions. Go in that direction, right? Saturn and Pisces, don't talk about it, be about it, right? And this is the way that you can literally support growing and strengthening and putting more crystallization and mastery around your intuition. And with the moon in Scorpio, you're working from those spidey senses of your own anyways. And this is a beautiful day in that, trying to take the opportunity to transform yourself at the emotional and spiritual level. Participate with the universe. The universe is doing the heavy lifting, but you've got to respond when it comes through your intuition to give you some exact information. I absolutely love it. Now, Mars in Scorpio is going to oppose Uranus in Taurus here on Saturday. So these two, Mars and Uranus, no matter what, they are willing to go to war, right? They are willing to go to war. They're willing to be about it. But in an opposition, Mars is pulling, so it's doing, it's desiring, it's going this way. And Uranus is like, you better do that differently. You better do that differently. We have to innovate, because what you're doing is pulling you further and further and further away from me, because this is how an opposition works. So what you do is you get Uranus and Mars in your energy to look at each other and figure out where the sweet spot, where Uranus is like, okay, we got to do it different. And Mars is like, okay, well, I do desire to have freedom and transformation. So let me see what you're talking about. And Uranus is like, yeah, all right. But I also see how you're trying to get that done. And if we could just tweak it a little bit, that'd be great. And then Mars is like, all right, so are we doing this? And they meet in the middle. So you have an integration of these two sides of you, that is one between the action and desire that you've been taking, and Uranus, this innovation that has to happen. They meet in the middle, you integrate those things, and then you are unstoppable. And the place that I think you integrate that is if you've been acting like you don't know what you know, if you've been acting like you don't know who you are, you have to innovate. And when you do and you start to act accordingly, ba-bam, you are unstoppable with this energy. Or even if you're in the middle of a conversation and somebody says something in your gut, you know what I'm saying? You know when somebody says something and it just kind of blows past your sacred ear and you're like, wait, is that true? Or what happened right here? It's even the place where you're like, sorry, I need to swing back. I've got a couple questions. That's the way you integrate these two and make them work in your favor for sure. Okay, so let's wrap it up and let's get to Sunday. So we get to Sunday the 12th here. Now we've got the Scorpio moon that is going to sit into opposition to Jupiter in Taurus. So I like Sunday, even though that's the opposition of the control and power dynamics in relationships, which is Scorpio and Taurus. I do think that this is an energy this particular day that, again, if you can pull that opposition to the center, it's like I'm changing and transforming because my wisdom, Jupiter, my experience has shown me that the resources, the life that I have lived and the things that I have lived through are not my liabilities anymore. They're my assets. And when it goes from being these painful, shameful things to an asset because I did it and I survived it and it is still true, and I put these two things together, then I become an integrated whole human being with a story that is genuinely my experience, but it also sharpens my intuition, right? It's this thing. I don't know if you've ever had this experience. So think of your own experience, but my girls are older now. Okay, I don't have babies anymore, and I'm not having any more babies. So, but my girls are older. So now this opposition, the way that I see this play out is I was in the store the other day, and first of all, it was really funny because all of the husbands were outside of the store, and it's just a store full of women, right? The husbands were like, I'm not doing it. I'm not going in there. I'll be out here having some air, which I always think is funny. Anyway, so it's a bunch of women in there, different ages, different ethnicities. Some people spoke Spanish, some people didn't, right? Whatever. It's just the place, though, where women were at. And that can be catty. That can be catty. That can have its own vibration. But there was this woman, and she had twins, and she was just trying to finish checking out, and they were like baby twins. One started crying, and it sent off the other one. And then these women, many of which you could tell had children before. I mean, the instinct kicked in, and our experience of those days of being the mom, trying to pay for the stuff while the baby's crying. And I just remember mine taking a poop, and it came right up over her head. And these older women just came for me, and they were like, okay, calm down. Let's just move over here. Right? And it was that. And I watched a room full of women who were standing in line, eyeballing each other, become united around this, helping this woman and this baby through her very first situation. So it is this place where your experience becomes a resource for transformation that's not just your own, but you can extend it to other people. So whatever your experience of something like that is, find your own metaphor, but that's definitely what I think of as here. And the other thing that I think that does is it really reminds us yet again that you are a human being. I am a human being. We have done nothing perfect except for be imperfect. And the places, especially right now in the world where you have really done it wrong, like you have really gotten a whole F at life in a certain area, it's particularly useful to other people. One, so that we end isolation for people, so that people don't think that they're out there being on their own. I'm the only broken one. How come it's not happening to me? I'm not hearing anybody say this. But also so that you remember that you are not alone, and that everything you have been through, there is no mistake and there is no trash in the universe's world. Everything has a vibration of where it is useful. So I think that this is a very beautiful way to end the week energetically. You've survived 100% of your life, my absolutely beautiful soulmate. So if somebody pops up and they show up and they come out of nowhere and they need your experience and they ask for it, I know who you are and you know who you are. So trust that intuition and share, okay? All right, my absolutely beautiful friends, I hope you have a gorgeous week. I look forward to bringing you more content and, of course, walking with you next week as well. Bye, everyone.